never guess how old she's turning. And it's time for Georgia to spring forward permanently. That's the question lawmakers are asking right now. We'll tell you where the decision stands and how some of you feel about it. But first, the discovery of another COVID variant is adding even more urgency to the fight against the pandemic. Experts say it may spread more easily, and the vaccines we have right now may not be as effective against it. Deborah Alfarone breaks down why.
A dangerous new coronavirus strain has turned up in the United States, infecting 2 patients in different parts of South Carolina.
There is no known travel history, and there's no known connection between the 2 cases.
This variant was initially detected in South Africa. It's believed to be more contagious and possibly more resistant to vaccines.
The more uncontrolled spread of virus there is in this country or anywhere in the world, the more likely it is that strains will emerge and spread which are either more infectious or potentially even more lethal.
The discovery comes as another highly infectious variant takes hold in the U.S. It was first identified in the UK and has now been found in over half the states.
There are some encouraging signs to report. The nation's overall infection and hospitalization numbers are down roughly 35% from highs set earlier this month.
Every 2,000 folks over the age of 65 that we vaccinate is 4 lives saved.
The CDC says 26.2 million COVID-19 vaccine doses have been administered in the U.S. so far.
I just hope to stick around long enough to see my great-grandchildren grow up.
More vaccines could be coming. Novavax says clinical trials show its vaccine has 90% effectiveness against the coronavirus, but the drug maker said it was less effective against the South African variant. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Washington.
Moderna and Pfizer are already working to develop booster shots to protect against the variant identified in South Africa. President Joe Biden traveling to Walter Reed Medical Center today to meet with wounded service members. He talked about the urgent need to pass another COVID relief package. Senate Democrats say they want to move ahead with a $1.9 trillion relief package he's supposed to propose as early as next week. The administration says FEMA staff are on the ground helping in 8 states. The agency asked the Pentagon for help on up to 100 federal sites. Taking a look at COVID vaccine distributions within the 2 states. In Georgia, the state has received over 1 million doses. More than 836,000 have been administered. In South Carolina, as of yesterday, more than 657,000 doses were received, and more than 362,000 have been administered. Today, Dr. Anthony Fauci said there will be trials over the next couple of months to study children taking the vaccine. They will start with older children and work down to younger kids. He says the goal is to start getting kids vaccinated by late spring or early summer. It's the COVID-19 image you've probably seen 1,000 times by now, but you may not have thought about where it came from. It was actually created by an Augusta University graduate, and it recently won her an international award. Our Sydney Heiberger introduces us to the successful graduate, Alyssa Eckert.
Well, Alyssa's been illustrating for the CDC since 2006, right after she graduated from Augusta University's medical illustration program. But she says this design has completely changed her life. It started when the CDC COVID response team approached her and asked her to create a representation of the virus that would give a face to the illness everyone was talking about. By taking research and information from an online scientific database, Alyssa was able to illustrate the virus using online software and graphic design tools. Since then, the illustration took off and earned her a Beasley Design of the Year award in the graphics category from the Design Museum in London.
News often uses just clips of an image of one of the bacteria that we've done or something like that, and I don't know. It's just crazy how it blew up. People just really needed an image to grab onto for this.
And while it is certainly her most famous, this design is not the only work of Alyssa's you might have seen. Tonight on News 12 at 6 o'clock, we're going to show you some of her other popular work. Reporting in Augusta, Sydney Heiberger on your side.
Pretty cool story there. Thanks, Sydney, for that. And we're taking a look over Grovetown where we see a beautiful sunset in the making. And Anthony, let's talk about how amazing it. 3 seats are up for grabs, and we're going to have more on the mayoral race and hear from some of these candidates on News 12 at 6 o'clock. The Georgia Lottery is seeing its most profitable first half since 1993. They generated more than $731 million alone since last July. And for the whole year, the state received more than $1.2 billion for Georgia's Hope Scholarship Program and pre-K program. One of the suspects in the Ahmaud Arbery case is being denied bond for a second time. William Bryan's attorney argued for another bail hearing because of Bryan's uncontrolled high blood pressure. Yesterday, a Glenn County judge denied the second motion. Bryan is the suspect who recorded the deadly encounter between Arbery and Travis and Gregory McMichael. Prosecutors argue he played a larger role in Arbery's death. Since their arrest last May, all three are being held in Glenn County Jail. Protests in Georgia today calling for the resignation of a congresswoman. Members of March for Our Lives Georgia are demanding Marjorie Greene be expelled from the U.S. House of Representatives. Greene has come under fire over old comments she made suggesting the Sandy Hook shooting was fake, as well as calling a Parkland school shooting survivor a coward, and showing support for the execution of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
Bigot and hatred does not have any part in our House of Representatives, in our country, and in public office.
That is not acceptable for a member of the U.S. Congress. That is not acceptable for anyone holding any type of federal office. It is not acceptable for her to conspire a deadly insurrection. It is not acceptable for her to call for the kidnapping and the murder of her colleague.
Greene is pushing back against growing protests, calling them part of a, quote, witch hunt. Capitol Police are stepping up security in Washington, D.C. Police will be stationed at area airports and train stations on busy travel days. Officials are also setting up a website so lawmakers can let them know of travel plans. Lawmakers are now allowed and even advised to use office expense accounts to pay for security to protect their offices and at events in their districts. We're hearing from RBC's Heritage. Another event canceled due to COVID. This year's Junior Invitational Golf Tournament was scheduled for March 18th through 20th in Graniteville. The tournament has been going on for 10 years and shows the very best junior golfers from around the world. Past participants include some top names in golf like Matthew Wolff and Justin Thomas. Washington football team head coach Ron Rivera is cancer-free. Just 2 months ago, Rivera underwent his last cancer treatment. There were no signs it returned during his latest checkup. The coach completed 7 weeks of treatment, all without missing a single game of coaching on the sidelines. He says his future plans include advocating for affordable health care. And the change to daylight savings can be annoying to some, but if you are in the peach state, you may not have to worry anymore. A legislative committee signed off on a bill to let Georgia switch to daylight saving time year-round. But making that switch isn't entirely in the hands of state. Congress would have to approve it first. We took to social media to see how some of you felt about the decision. Janella Baker says, yes, there is no value in changing our clocks twice a year. Standard time, please, and thank you. However, Jenny Eubanks says, no, I need the time changes each time to function properly. Hey, I should say let's just keep one and stick with it. However, don't expect to be springing forward permanently anytime soon. It needs to be approved by the full House as well as the Senate, and then it's going to head to the governor.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
This is Laura Cameron, and she is turning 105 years old this weekend. She's a volunteer at Catholic Social Services in Augusta and has been helping others since she retired in 1971. However, her favorite way to stay active is out on the dance floor, ballroom dancing, if you couldn't tell already, which she's been doing for almost a century now. You'll hear from her about her secret to a long and happy life tonight on 6 o'clock. Still ahead, social media and the stock market. That's what everyone is talking about this week. We'll tell you how a lot of people are a whole lot richer.
And tonight we're going to be seeing some cool temperatures. Waking up tomorrow right around 27 degrees. If you have any outdoor plans, make sure to grab that jacket. The full forecast coming up.
The Wilson family.
Gun sales are at historic levels.
Have you ever seen it like this?
Never.
What's causing the run on guns from people arming themselves for the first time? Arming Up, an I-Team investigation. Monday on News 12 at 6 o'clock.
A social media network turned Wall Street upside down this week. Users of the popular social media site Reddit drove the price of some stocks to record levels, making some users an awful lot of money. Jamie Tucker looks at how they did it and if they could do it again.
And this really shows the power of social media. Members of the social media site Reddit made some posts and manipulated the stock market. The subreddit Wall Street Bets, with over 4.8 million users, all came together to buy stock in GameStop, a video game franchise with a 52-week low price of $2.57. And after the Redditor rally, GameStop was worth $483 a share.
It happened before. I mean, in the late 2000s, when the internet bubble was in play, the message boards were the tool.
Financial advisor and 10-year Wall Street veteran Jay Srivatsa tells me it's known as pump and dump. Once GameStop hit its high, Redditors then started pumping stocks for AMC, Nokia, BlackBerry, and Naked Brands. Stocks that previously saw maybe 100,000 shares traded per day were now being traded millions of times. Srivatsa says pump and dump schemes are illegal, while the SEC is investigating. Unlike in the days of message boards, it's going to be hard to find the people responsible.
You think about Reddit, it's all anonymous users. There is nobody you can really pin down and say, hey, you're the one who started this, so you can't do that.
The stock exchange paused trading for a bit. Investment app Wrdw stopped trading of the companies, and Reddit temporarily suspended the Wall Street Bet sub. But members are back, trying to pump up the price of other stocks, some saying they're putting all of their money into one stock, hoping to hit it big.
I would strongly recommend investors not to do these kinds of funny games. It's the easiest way to get separated from your money. And if it's retirement money you're playing with, that's even worse. Yeah.
Some of the Redditors who pumped the stocks have dumped the stocks, all but one posting double or triple digit losses. That's What the Tech. I'm Jamie Tucker.
This all is just so crazy. Robinhood raised $1 billion from existing investors just hours after it stopped purchases of GameStop. The SEC is still investigating right now. Well, Anthony, let's talk about this weather, and let's talk about
those winds down as we go through next week with those temperatures back to the low 60s.
Still ahead, many people do yoga, but are you doing this particular one? It's called laughter yoga. We'll explain after the break.
Gun sales are at historic levels.
Have you ever seen it like this?
Never.
What's causing the run on guns from people arming themselves for the first time? Arming Up, an I-Team investigation. Monday on News 12 at 6 o'clock.
A 2017 or 2018 L-certified RX.
Exclusively at your Lexus dealer.
The pandemic is sparking new interest in a type of exercise that is helping people lift their spirits. And you need to enjoy laughing to take part in it. Ian Lee explains from London.
If these people look funny dancing in a parking pyro, well, that's the point. It's called laughter yoga. And during the seriousness of the pandemic, we could all use a little of this medicine.
There's a lot of depression, there is a lot of anxiety, and people feel so super stressed. So laughter is the solution to the problems we have right now.
Stretching and stitches has taken on a new importance these days. With COVID restrictions, instructors around the world are moving laughter online. Odette, better known as Lady Ha Ha, teaches a class in the UK. And there's real science to back up the benefits. Doctors in California track the effects of laughter on the brain and body. Research shows it lowers blood pressure and reduces the level of stress hormones. It also helps boost the immune system.
Laughter changes the biochemistry within minutes. We are swamped with endorphins and serotonin and happy maker hormones.
And watching them in fits of giggles, it's kind of hard not to join in. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
I love this so much. It's so true. You just want to join in and laugh with them. It's good for you. But check this out. Many researchers believe forcing yourself to laugh has the same benefit as the body cannot tell the difference between a fake giggle and a real one. So all in all, just laugh whether you mean it or not. It's good for you. Anthony.
All right, take a look at your screen. I-20 in Grovetown, a gorgeous sunset. Great way to wrap up our week. We're going to be talking about some sunshine for Saturday with a chance for a few showers come Sunday. We'll final look at that forecast coming up.
Explain why and see how the city found a compromise.
At almost 105 years young, this woman can still find her way around the dance floor. We're going to hear her secret to a long and happy life. The first up tonight, in just the last hour, Richmond County Schools releasing their COVID numbers after their first week back to in-person classes.
In that short time, 3 schools have already had to move back to full remote learning. And right now, there are 120 COVID cases among students in Richmond County. Meanwhile, there are 67 employee cases. You can see we've also compared these numbers to the cases back on December 15th, right before winter break. There are also hundreds quarantined, almost 500 students, and 179 school employees.
We did find out before winter break there were 8 schools that were virtual only. Right now, as we just mentioned, 3 schools are fully remote. That's Butler High School, Glen Hills Middle, and the Sandhills School. The district tells us they wanted to welcome students back in the classroom this week as safely as possible.
Those who are opted for face-to-face instruction were able to connect with their teachers, their classmates, and to do so safely. We expect to have cases of coronavirus. We're still in the midst of the pandemic.
So taking a look at those numbers in Aiken and Columbia County schools, where they've been in person for weeks now. In Aiken County, 71 student cases, 4 fewer than the week before. Same number of employee cases with 41. 50 more students are now quarantined, putting the total at more than 1,100. In Columbia County, 18 fewer student cases, but 7 more employee cases. We also saw 4 of the 5 high schools in the county with double-digit student cases.
Paying tribute to an educator who died this week after testing positive for COVID. This sign was posted outside South Columbia Elementary as parents dropped off their kids at school today, honoring Jennifer Watkins. She died on Monday. We're also told students and teachers wore green today in honor of Miss Watkins.
Degrees. As we continue over the next couple of hours, now that that sun has set, we will see those temperatures falling out of the 30s and eventually into the 20s by the time you're waking up early tomorrow morning. Much more on that coming up in just a few minutes. Guys, back to you.
Anthony, thanks. Work starting today on a new fire station for North Augusta. This is Martintown Road and Observatory Drive. The location of this new station, the center of debate for a long, long time. Brady Trapnell live there off Martintown Road this evening. And Brady, this has been a long time coming.
Richard, today has been 8 years in the making, and as you can see here behind me, the equipment is here, the ground is bulldozed, all to get started on construction on a fire station that's been long debated.
I think this is a great example, though, of where the city worked with residents on a compromise.
A compromise that took nearly a decade to reach. North Augusta Councilman Fletcher Dickert was there at the start. The city went back and forth with neighbors about the location for the new fire station number 1.
And I think we accommodated 20 plus of their requests with the design and layout of this.
Initially, the city wanted to build it on the old Fly 7 Gables property. But after pushback, they settled on this lot at the corner of Martintown Road and Observatory Avenue.
It gives us more of a centralized location. Here, we're able to get to those areas we need to get to.
Public Safety Chief John Thomas says their response times will be quicker. This new state-of-the-art facility is on a $3.8 million budget.
We've got some new and innovative ways to do firefighting now, and so that just helps us tremendously.
Public Safety will park its ladder trucks here, and to accommodate the surrounding neighborhood, put up a noise buffer and save trees in the area. They also may put an emergency signal on Martintown Road. Chief Thomas says they want to be a good neighbor. Despite what some may believe, Councilman Dickert thinks it's possible. He grew up near the old station downtown.
We always, as family, found it comforting to know that in a time of need, it was right there next to them.
I spoke with many people who live in this area, and they told me basically the situation is what it is. Many of them did fight it over several years, but now, of course, the ground is broken. They can't change much, so they're going to work with the city and try and be good neighbors too.
So Public Safety extending their reach up the hill in North Augusta, and we'll have to wait and see what happens to that old 7 Gables property you mentioned. Brady Trapnell reporting live from Martintown Road. Thanks, Brady. AU Health has been busy treating our community during this pandemic while doing important research and all the vaccine distribution, but during all that, we're learning AU Health has lost $20 million over the last 6 months. They just released a statement today saying the losses are for multiple reasons, including a big one, a delay of elective surgeries. But they say the hospital did manage to earn $8 million in revenue over the last difficult year.
Hospitals across the two states facing similar struggles as they also work to get people vaccinated. More than 830,000 now vaccinated in Georgia, 370,000 in South Carolina. According to their respective Department of Health websites, Georgia has given out 63% of the vaccines they've received. South Carolina has given out 56%. That's big increases for both states. And we all know what this is, an illustration of the COVID molecule. By now, almost everyone in the world knows what it is. But you might not know that image was created by someone who graduated from MCG. Sydney Heiberger hears from her today just after winning an international award.
Alyssa's been creating graphic illustrations for the CDC since 2006. You might have even seen some of them, but this one in particular recently earned her a Beasley Design of the Year award from the Design Museum in London. They say if you love what you do,
it's perfect for me.
You won't work a day in your life.
Being able to use art to actually educate people, and it's not just for fun for me, it's actually a useful tool where I can educate people and make a difference with their health.
Alyssa Eckert was approached by the CDC's response team asking her to create a visual representation of the coronavirus.
We went to the Protein Data Bank, which is like a repository for the data that scientists have uploaded their proteins, and then we can actually download that information and take it into visual software.
She says making this only took about a week, but its impact has lasted far longer.
It's just crazy how it blew up. People just really needed an image to grab onto for this.
Alyssa has also created visual representations of measles, mumps, norovirus, and various drug-resistant bacteria.
We're able to help bring medical illustration to the forefront right now as well, and communication.
Combining her passions to make a difference. Sydney Heiberger, on your side.
And she ended up creating one of the most famous images in the world. Alyssa tells us she was originally planning to be a veterinarian until her senior year of college, and that's when she heard about medical illustration, a fascinating area of study, and so she changed her major, got her master's from AU.
Very cool. She says she's still working on a variety of COVID-related projects right now and updating some previous projects she's worked on as new information becomes available. Way to go for her. COVID patients in our local hospitals still trending in the right direction. Another big drop for University Hospital with 11 fewer patients than yesterday. That's now 7 days straight of having fewer in-house patients than the day before. AU Health has stayed at 73 patients 3 days in a row now. They haven't seen a rise in patients since last week. Doctors Hospital gains one more COVID patient, but that's after 3 straight days of fewer patients. Augusta Mayor Hardy Davis hosts another.
Well, we've had high pressure in control over the last couple of hours and through the last couple of days, actually. That gave some sunshine to us, but our next weather system is just off to our west, where we could be expecting some rain come Sunday. That full forecast coming up.
Having your first child is nerve-wracking no matter what, but giving birth for the first time during a pandemic adds a whole nother layer. Hear from a local mom who did just that.
And in just 1 minute, we're going to meet this woman, almost 105 years old and still getting it done on the dance floor.
It comes out of... But the competition doesn't have that. Inside, outside. For the first time ever, get our best 0% financing on every new Honda SUV. Like 0% financing on the Passport or Pilot. See your Augusta Aiken Honda dealer today.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, what are you waiting for?
Call George Sink Injury Lawyers at all nights now.
The sooner you call, the sooner they can help.
George Sink Injury Lawyers has the experience to help you get your money fast. If you've been hurt in a car wreck, call all nights.
This is where we all hope to be, coming up on 105 years young and still be able to move like this on the dance floor.
And she does more than dance. She's also been volunteering for more than 30 years. Nick Proto shakes a tail feather with the incredible Miss Laura today.
Happy birthday, dear Laura. Happy birthday to you.
It's time to celebrate at Catholic Social Services in Augusta. Their oldest volunteer, Miss Laura, turns 105 this weekend. Born in Massachusetts and raised in Florida, Miss Laura moved to Augusta in 1946.
That was after the war, and I had been working for a government wartime agency. And of course, after the war, that was gone, and I had to find another government job.
She retired in 1971 and started volunteering to stay involved. But her favorite way to stay active...
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3.
is ballroom dancing,
This is waltz time.
which she's been doing for almost a century.
Glad I started that as a very young girl in the little town where I was born. And that was a little town, one doctor. And his wife said, you know, we don't have anything for the kids to do on Saturday afternoon. And she started a dance class.
Nearly 100 years later, she still gets lessons once a week at Ballroom in Motion. And on this particular Friday, she had the time to give a lesson as well.
I thought you were a dancer.
No, I'm not a dancer.
Oh, you're not.
Waltz, foxtrot, jitterbug, Miss Laura does it all.
I'm not going to do too much of that.
Her secret to a long and happy life?
Stay busy. Stay involved. Don't let yourself just drown in a chair.
By the looks of it, that'll never happen with her. In Augusta,
Still got it.
Nick Proto, on your side.
I love this and I love her, and Nick has some moves himself too. Don't sell yourself short there, Nick.
Nick has met his match, I think. They've got some good genes in Miss Laura's family. Her sister turns 100 in July. Her brother, a youngster, 98 years old. Amazing.
Amazing. Well, look over Grovetown, and that's a beautiful sunset we're seeing, Anthony.
We're at 67. Those overnight temperatures staying on the chillier side, 28 to near 38 degrees as we go through next week.
Yeah, that's some chilly overnight temperatures tonight. Anthony, thanks. While we track those numbers of COVID cases and hospitalizations, our local hospitals say they're seeing another trend, childbirths.
Tradisha Woodard shows us how a family welcomed their son during the pandemic.
Imagine bearing your first child in isolation. No family or friends to help you gush over your new bundle of joy.
This is a whole different experience.
Brandon Thornton heard his first son's heartbeat through FaceTime.
Like, I couldn't go to any of the sonograms or anything like that. She didn't really have nothing but me as a support person, and I couldn't go to most of the things with her.
The medical director of labor at AU says it's been a stressful journey for a lot of couples.
I think it's affected a lot of folks' attitudes towards childbirth, and I think that's what we're seeing nationally.
And now that vaccinations have started rolling out, he says that's another big decision for moms.
Like, what percentage is passing through the breast milk? Is, is it a risk or is it not?
Dr. Ray says it's completely safe, and they're highly recommending it for their patients.
It definitely has taken its toll on moms. There's a lot of fear and a lot of anxiety. We certainly, as healthcare workers, see a significantly more mental health issues. It's a very personal choice, but I think that generates a lot of stress as to whether they should or shouldn't do that, but it seems to be a very safe thing to do.
He says they're seeing a significant amount of pregnant women waiting to be vaccinated. And though Dr. Ray says it's a harmless process, it requires a lot of thought.
Honestly, I can't give you like a good solid answer on yes or no.
The Thorntons say they were never expecting a delivery quite like this, but they couldn't be more excited about their first 6-week-old baby boy.
Oh.
Tradisha Woodard, on your side.
As if pregnancy wasn't already complicated enough, they have COVID angles to worry about now.
I know it's a tough time to be a parent, but so happy they have a sweet, healthy baby boy there.
Yeah, congratulations to all those new parents out there. Coming up, we've got the Masters to look forward to, but we're going to have one less